Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Lee Kantor here, another episode of High Velocity Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today on the show, we have Michelle Majette. She is the founder and CEO with AllProfit HR. Welcome.
Thank you, Lee.
Well, I am so excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about AllProfit HR. How are you serving folks?
Yeah, so just a little background on me. I've been serving in this capacity in terms of human resources and organizational development for about 20 years. AllProfit HR is meant to flip the script when it comes to what I have seen and experienced from the corporate perspective. We are an organization that looks to center people, purpose, and equity in workplaces. We're not about checking the box. We're really about transforming lives. We're really about healing and growth and equity that may seem like things that don't take place from a human resources and organizational development perspective, but I promise you it is possible. One of our mantra is people-powered, purpose-driven, profit for all. So it's really a part of our operating system as an organization.
So what type of clients do you serve?
We primarily work with mission-driven organizations. However, we are also a women minority enterprise and a minority business enterprise. So we can compete for government contracts as well. But we're really looking for organizations that are not just about compliance. They also want to pursue positive workplace cultures.
Now, are they primarily for-profit, nonprofit, both?
Both. But we do primarily have supported either community-based or mission-driven organizations.
And so how do you go about kind of getting on their radar? What is the pain that they're having where they would reach out to AllProfit HR to solve that problem that they got?
Yeah, I would say that their pain points typically center around navigating growth, burnout, or culture drift. So for example, during the COVID period, right, a lot of organizations struggled with agility or resiliency and sustainability, looking at how do we communicate uncertainty when we don't even know as business owners or employers what's coming down the pike. And so really putting the humanity when it comes to running your organization and being that trusted thought partner to those organizations. So while they're navigating difficulty and change, and that can happen right out of any aspect in business at any point. It doesn't have to be around crisis, right? But we're really looking at how do you ensure that you keep human focus. Human resources is not just a title, it's really a way that you can go about running your organization.
So for leaders who are out there, are there symptoms or signals that maybe your corporate culture has gone amiss, or that your, there's kind of leading indicators that maybe something's not going well when it comes to human resources? Are there things that the leader can say, okay, for example, we're having a hard time filling this role, or it seems like we've had a lot of turnover lately. Wonder why? Like, are there certain things that are happening from a leader standpoint that could be kind of maybe I should be looking into this a little deeper. Maybe I should have a call with AllProfit HR.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the phrases that many have heard, especially over the last few years, is quiet quitting, right? And so when you notice, you mentioned turnover, when you notice that there's an impact in your retention, but you also may notice an impact in engagement or a drift in your team. We are very much about intentional rather than a reactive approach to your strategy, your workplace strategy. So if you're plugged in and you're paying attention, not just the metrics, whether it's turnover rates or, like you're saying, hard to fill positions, but you're actually having your one-on-one check-ins and paying attention to what your employees are sharing, the verbal and nonverbal cues, that can provide you with a signal And hopefully you will receive that signal in enough time to make an impact prior to something like a mass exodus of your workforce due to an unexpected or unpleasant workplace culture. So I would say that yes, those metrics are important, but if you're plugged in and you're paying attention to your workforce, if you're listening to what your employees are saying, oftentimes that will signal, hey, I need to institute some programming to see if I can uplift my workplace culture.
Now, is there any advice you can share with our listeners that are leading organizations when it comes to maybe being proactive when it comes to quiet quitting? What are some things they could be doing that can prevent this from happening in the first place? So there are some do's and don'ts. Is there some activities or exercises or engagement strategies you've learned that can help?
Absolutely. We recently actually just completed a listening tour, also known as stay interviews. So a lot of organizations love to do employee engagement surveys, which are great. My approach is really to take the time to sit down one-on-one and have a conversation with the employees. Oftentimes, I ask open-ended questions. So things like, what's working well? What isn't working? And I let them know this is a confidential conversation. I want you to think about anything that comes to mind when it comes to your employment at this particular organization. Nothing is off limits and nothing is off topic. And then we'll capture that information and create an insight report for leaders or decision makers. We're not providing identifying markers or names or job titles or even departments, but really looking at the themes and trends that are coming up. And when you allow a conversation to be open, anything could happen. While leaders may be thinking, I need to increase pay. Who knows? The insight report may talk about we really need more mental health benefits, or we're really looking for maybe summer Fridays during the summer season. So it's easier for us to spend time with family and our children when they're out of school. So again, having that conversation and really think about putting yourself in the position. What is the human component? What is missing as a fellow human being, right? How would I want to be treated in this workplace culture?
Now, when you're having these conversations with leaders, I would imagine that one of the selling points of working with you is it's kind of fresh eyes that aren't kind of the company. Like these are kind of people coming in here that are trying to just take the temperature in a neutral manner and then make recommendations based on what they learn. So people might be more apt to share more with somebody like you or yourself, rather than if the boss comes and asks the same exact question.
Absolutely. We also work alongside internal human resources teams. So you're absolutely right, Lee. I like to think about it as, a parent-child relationship where mom or dad may be telling their son or daughter the same thing over and over and over again. But when they go to school and hear it from a teacher or their coach, it resonates differently, right? And so for me, it's also about co-creation. That's one of the things that we do at AllProfit HR. We co-create. So sometimes we can be used in many ways as a resource to support both teams' agenda, whether it be the employer or the employees, and create that positive influence so we all reach our ultimate goal. Because ultimately, if you have an organization where everyone feels like they can be themselves, they want to produce, and that is the end result for the employer. Employees want to be treated well. Employers want their business to succeed. So our role is, how do we fit in between sometimes those two opposing forces so that we can show there is a way for all of us to work together and for everyone to receive whatever it is that they're looking for in their life.
Can you share a little bit about the workplace empowerment framework you've developed?
Oh, yes. So the workplace empowerment framework is our signature framework. It really resonates the heart of AllProfit HR when it comes to creating workplace culture. I am really about, again, being intentional rather than reactionary where possible. And so we guide our clients through three phases. Excuse me. We have define. Defining is where we really are just naming it, right? What are the aspiration? What is the current state? Whether it be policy, but really just centering our workplace culture that embodies a lot of different things. Then we're looking at evolving. So we move from once we define, we want to evolve. What do we need to change? What do we need to consider? What practices do we have that are spoken and unspoken, right? And then we inspire after we involve. And that is where we activate the transformation from the inside out. I really also like to look at how are you working externally, especially for those mission-driven organizations that center the community in which they serve. How are you treating that external community, and does it match your workforce internally? If there's a mismatch, we need to look at the define, evolve, and inspire to make sure that we are the same person inside the house at the workplace as we are externally. It's very practical when it comes to the framework, but it has that transformation that takes place. One of the most beautiful compliments that I received from a client is that they said that the blueprint really elevated the soul of the organization. So we utilize this framework as a way to activate that transformation and impact that we like to see at workplaces.
Now, is there a story you can share? Don't name the name of the organization, but maybe share the challenge that they had when they met you and how you were able to help them get to a new level?
Yeah, so I am in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and we have a client that hired us to do a compensation market study. So the goal of it was to really look at pay equity, really look at how are they, in the marketplace, are they leading the marketplace to assess that data. But we saw an opportunity to really go deeper. So through our co-designing sessions, we saw that there was a disconnect, not only with the pay structure, but how employees felt about rewards at the organization. And we developed a roadmap. So we worked with executive leadership, their internal human resources department. They have a DEIA committee as well as various caucuses to co-create the workplace empowerment program. And this is where we were looking at the compensation study, the SOPs that activated the study, and the policies. And did it align with the values of the organization? Did it align with things like, for example, if you're doing a bonus structure or a cost of living increase, are you prioritizing the highest paid personnel over those that may not make, for example, a six-figure salary? And what does that mean to your workplace culture? What does that mean to the perception of the employees when it comes to working for a mission-driven organization? So the compensation study became more than just about fairness and pay equity, but also about trust and transparency. And the transparency was realized because the operationalization of the data was shared across the organization. They understood how new hire pay was designed. They understood how to move about the pay structure. So trust and transparency was developed and reaffirmed at the organization. And now we're working with them to redo their employment manual, to socialize the policy, and again, operationalize ways that it can impact culture in a meaningful way. So workplace culture, as we know, is about our attitudes, our behaviors, and our belief. It really is often shaped by policy. So again, how do you believe the workplace is when it comes to fairly applying policy across the behavior? It truly influences our culture. So when our policies reflect the purpose, when it reflects the aspirational values, that's when we can see transformation taking place.
Now, is Is that how you typically enter a new relationship, with a project, and then it maybe expands after they see what quality work that you're delivering?
Yeah, for sure. I would say more often than not, that's the beautiful thing about having human resources at the table and not viewing HR or organizational development as transactional or check the box process. When you have a expert in any area, right, but especially human resources at the table, we have a different pair of ears. We're able to hear things differently that others may not recognize in the moment. And so we're able to make those strategic recommendations that will elevate any initiative or project or just being, simply because we were at the table and paying attention. And so we truly value our co-creation because it's, again, not just providing our clients with a scope of work. We really are seeing, how do we add value to your existence as an organization, as well as the experience of your people.
So now, before we wrap, I'd like to ask you a question about the Butterfly Conservatory Collective. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm over here smiling, Lee. I wish you could see me. The Butterfly Conservatory Collective is another extension of my heart. It is a sacred space for women, where we pause, we reflect, and we reclaim our power. We have been doing this maybe since 2 years into the existence of AllProfit HR. We typically celebrate women in some way for our anniversary. And it's just an opportunity for women to gather in community, to honor what we like to say the cocoon moments of our life in leadership. If you look at our logo has the butterfly wing, and the butterfly is a metaphor for a lot of the things that we do at AllProfit HR. And so when we think about the cocoon, we think about the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon. But the beautiful thing about the cocoon experience is that it creates strength in your wings, so it's strong enough to carry you. And that's really the vibe that we want to curate in the Butterfly Conservatory Collective. And so it's not just a networking group. We're really a community rooted in care and accountability and transformation. This December, we're actually excited to be going global with our first international retreat in Tulum, Mexico, to get away and transform by a beach. We're going to have curated workshops and healing experiences to go really, really deep into what it means to lead from a place of wholeness. And so this work directly complements AllProfit HR because it centers the person. While the collective is not just professional women, it's anyone that leads their own life. So we're looking at where we can meet power, purpose, and rest.
So what do you need more of at AllProfit HR? How can we help you?
Well, I appreciate this conversation just to have the opportunity to share with those that we have not had an opportunity to meet the good and beautiful work that's being done at AllProfit HR, just to be able to expand our voice beyond just the metropolitan area or the East Coast. We're really being very intentional about our scale, but we're scaling with soul. We're looking at rolling out more coaching circle and cohort opportunities for communities. And we're also growing our nonprofit arm, which is called Connect to Purpose. So I would say that I would love to continue to share more about the beautiful work and support that we give organizations through our LLC, the AllProfit HR, as well as Connect to Purpose for eligible organizations that need pro bono HR services similar to that we offer at AllProfit HR.
So if somebody wants to learn more and connect with you or somebody on the team, what's the website? What's the socials? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, for sure. So our website is www.allprofithr, and profit is singular.com. So www.allprofithr.com. We are on Facebook and Instagram, AllProfit HR, as well as on LinkedIn. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm under Michelle Nicholson Majette, and Majette is Majette.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Kantor. We'll see you all next time on High Velocity Radio.